Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
Hey, live from the Loft 100 Studios in sunny San Diego, California. 110 million TV homes strong, 150 radio stations. Let's not forget our latest affiliate, Bloomberg Television. Great to have you along, as well as American Forces Radio Network, 175 countries and all the ships at sea. Great to have you on. Great to have you along. Hey, look who's in the studio. Oh, yeah. Our most handsome CEO we've had in the history of this television program and radio program, Chris Dawson, of course, the CEO of Arcimoto. Arcimoto is a publicly traded company under the stock symbol FUV. And look at the stuff they make up there on the screen. That's right from their website. That's some cool stuff. And we just found out a couple things that are going to knock your socks off here, Costa, because they are partnering with some local San Diego folks. Let's talk about the company, because you've been on a number of times on different time slots, but I'm gonna give you an overview for people who haven't seen you before. What do you guys do? What are you manufacturing, and where are you headed?
Yeah, so we manufacture ultralight, ultra efficient electric vehicle, and the whole point around this is like try to provide some degree of electrification that like regular people can actually afford and induce in their life, right? Today, people are making fuel and food decisions, and they're not walking out onto the driveway and they're like, oh, the climate, right? They're trying to figure out how to get there.
Right.
And so the people that could benefit the most from electrification, it's not accessible. And so we're trying to create a product that those folks can access, but is also reliable. It's all the things that they need, none of the things that they don't, and this allows us to drive that efficiency. So we're 3 times more efficient than your typical Tesla. So as you like to hear me say, is the same amount of get around for 1/3 the price.
That's right.
Right. Typical Arcimoto owners spending 25 to 50 cents a day in operational costs for this vehicle to run around.
I want you to define MUV and FUV and tell us the difference between the two.
Yeah, so the FUV was our initial flagship, or the fun utility vehicle. And I like to highlight the utility piece there as kind of what I painted out there. Low operational cost, covers 90% of your get around. And if we look at the data, 90% of all drives that happen in the United States are 1 or 2 people, minimal cargo, 35 total daily miles driven, and 3 miles between. And so does it make sense now to get the 6,000-pound SUV, right, over and to go get your latte? Right. No, not necessarily. But you want to load up the kids and go to dinner. Like the SUV now is the right tool for the job. So we're not trying to be the right tool for the job, but we're trying to be the right tool for 90% of the jobs that are being driven around there. And we have this concept that we need these large vehicles for the onesie, twosie applications. Like my poor vehicles just sit there, collect dust because I'm just running around this thing all day. And it's easy to get in, park. You can park it where motorcycles park. So that same frame around the FUV is true around the MUV, which is the modular utility vehicle. And so we built this more for commercial customers, much like a tractor on a farm.
Or a pizza delivery truck, for example.
Pizza delivery truck.
Very important.
Like the tap rig that we just built for the Gwynn Foundation, where you could literally tap off of that and pick your fluid, right? And so next phase is kegerators and deli boxes and all those pieces. So, but we're not trying to solve all of the implements, and I want to focusing on implement, just like a tractor on a farm has multiple implements based on the job it needs to do. We provided an easy to integrate platform. So now upfitters and customers can build their own interface, or they can take our tap handle design, our box design, or our flatbed design, and then roll that immediately to add value, or work with us to develop whatever implement they want, or upfit their own implement.
What did you call it? You call it a deli what? What did you
Deli box, just like a chilled box.
A nice ring to that, deli box, isn't there? Hey,
Also known as
hey,
my
swing
bedroom.
around the deli box, would you? You know, it's interesting in higher demographic areas of the U.S., they've all sort of adopted these off-road golf carts or regular golf carts. The problem is if you don't have a very precise way of charging these things, and I've not only have we had one, but I've talked to many people. You can't charge it full time. You have to have a hitch in the giddy up. You have to have it on a timer, and then if you don't charge it for a period of 2 weeks, you're buying new batteries. And batteries are, for a general golf cart, they're about $2,500.
Yeah.
And the average golf cart owner buys at least 6 sets of batteries in the course of 6 years. Yeah. And that's ridiculous. This kind of solves that same problem. A, it's more functional, it's safer, it's beefier, and it doesn't have the same problems as a golf cart does.
Yeah, well, to channel Billy Mays and wait, there's more, right? So this three-wheel application, right? So you're talking about having special charging and all those other aspects. It's so efficient and the battery is so small that the price point isn't far beyond what the lead acid solution for golf carts are.
Yeah.
You can charge it off a 110 outlet. You don't need special charging at your house. It'll cover the typical 35 miles overnight that you would have driven anyway.
Sure.
And then we have customers today, we also have a golf bag adapter.
Yeah.
So you can actually, in your garage, load it up, hit the freeway, drive all the way to the golf course, drive it on the golf course, do 18 holes, and drive home. You don't need a golf cart.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Greg, it's got your name all, that one's got your name all over.
What's interesting part,
I'm thinking about going 80 miles an hour on a golf course. That's what I want to do.
You know, so what you're saying is at least something that you do on the golf course goes 80 miles an hour?
Exactly. Right. So basically what's interesting here is that most of these people in these high demographic areas are using it for exactly what you say. They're going to get their latte in the morning. They're going to go take the kids out to breakfast. They pick up the kids from school, but they're not taking long trips. And I would argue that most of us don't travel much more than 35 miles a week, unless they're coming to the studio, right? But the long story short is you sort of have the space cornered. What's next for you guys? What are you looking to work on, and what are you focusing on for you guys?
So we're really focusing on the FUV, the MUV. The Deliverator is a contoured version of the MUV, and really I should say that the MUV was us listening to customers and what they wanted and what they experienced with the Deliverator, which is just kind of contoured. That second seat is replaced into a storage area, and though it has a ton of storage capacity, putting large square objects.
That's the Deliverator.
And that's the Deliverator right there.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And so for the right application, we actually have these running around in San Diego today, and they love it for like smaller baked goods or food items. Like that works well, but where it falls down is large box delivery, and that's hence the MUV that we rolled out in order to support that.
I think there's a large box delivery in Mike Costa outside of the office, that bar in Cardiff. After too many hours, they take one of the Deliverators, drop his butt home, come back and pick up Greg, drop him home, and they've got themselves, they're out of liability. What is the price point right now?
So right now it's $19,900.
Wow.
And can I add some more facet of what's next? And you're talking about getting picked up, being hammered at the bar. At least I assume that he was alluded to.
Well, he's actually driving me.
So with our partner at Faction, to which we own a bit of, and we've been working with for the better part of 2 years, developing a driverless solution. We have active FUVs driving driverlessly today, delivering baked goods up and down the peninsula in San Francisco. We have and all up that whole peninsula, as well as various other pilot programs where we're rolling out. And what that'll look like is a vehicle on demand. You know, so let's say you get blackout drunk, they're trying to take care of you. They'll pull up the app, order their FUV. FUV shows up on its own. Whoever's sober can then get in there and drive you home. And then when you're done, you hit return, and the vehicle returns itself, goes and grabs the next customer. So when we're trying to when we're trying to solve driverless, so everyone's allowing perfection to be the enemy of good here in this particular solution. Sure. And where it gets hairy is when I put an organic organism on that three-wheel unit and then try to drive it autonomously. But if there's nothing alive on that vehicle, we have a lot more flexibility to do what we need to do.
Plus no human error involved.
Right. And so now, and what we're noticing is if you're Ubering, if you're renting any of these solutions, 90+% of the people that are doing this can drive and would rather drive.
Right.
I think every Uber I've ever taken, I would have rather been the guy driving. Right? So this opens that up. So now you take a $20, $30, $60 Uber ride, and now it's a $1.50, $3, $6 cost, and there's more margin in it for the company.
Plus, there's a cool factor in riding in one of those things. Let's face it, coming back from the all the beach locations.
So like we have pilots right now where imagine like a flagship store that's trying to restock things.
Yeah.
And now you automate that whole process and delete that entire infrastructure that you had to build just to keep the right amount of toothpicks on the show.
Chris Dawson, can't wait for you to come back on. Arcimoto is the name of the company. FUV. FUV is their stock symbol. You can also go to arcimoto.com. Much more big biz to come. But Chris, we'll have you back in San Diego. Look, did you see the start video there for a minute? There are all kinds of San Diego locations on there. We'll catch you next week from Eugene, I'm assuming, or whatever part of the country that you're in. We'll get you back in San Diego as soon as we can. Chris Dawson, ladies and gentlemen, Arcimoto. More big biz coming up.